Apex Legends is the new free-to-play battle royale game from the masters of the FPS genre themselves, Respawn Entertainment. To say I had mixed feelings about Apex the few days leading up to the announcement was an understatement. If you've been a sub to me for a while here, you know that we cover Titanfall 2. Like a lot. Some of my favorite videos from last year were Titanfall 2 focused. I think that Titanfall 2 represents one of the best modern FPS games, at least for this console generation. It delivered an extremely satisfying, concise, and tightly paced campaign, alongside an explosive multiplayer mode that offered incredible amounts of solid replayability. Vince Zampella and his crew at Respawn know how to craft fun shooters. So fun that when it was all said and done, I pretty much own a copy of Titanfall 2 on every platform and have played a huge amount of it over the years. Titanfall 2 was unfortunately given a really rough release date just a few weeks before Battlefield 1, and as a result, the player base felt as if Titanfall 2 never really got the shot it deserved or the marketing plan that it needed. Fast forward to the beginning of this week, well actually a few weeks ago, rumors of a free-to-play Titanfall Battle Royale began circulating. At first, I dismissed it as nothing more than rumors. I mean, Anthem, it's coming out in just a few weeks, and Battlefield 5's BR mode is right around the corner in March. However, after further materials made their way to me, it soon became pretty clear that this was far more than just a rumor. Monday, Respawn Entertainment announced and launched the same day Apex Legends, a free-to-play BR FPS set in the Titanfall universe. Alongside that giant bonanza of press for the game, we heard statements from Zampella of Respawn saying Titanfall 3 currently isn't in development. Immediately my heart sank as the media outlets ran with the statement and pushed it. However, and this is important, there is a much bigger story at play here that we need to cover. First of all, EA in their quarterly earnings call just a few days ago have stated that a premium Titanfall game is coming out later this year. This rules out free-to-play because of the term premium, and Zampella has also stated that they, being Respawn, have Titanfall announcements later this year. So then let's first hit on Apex Legends. I've tried to set the stage by indicating I'm a massive Titanfall fan, and I'm also a bit fatigued with Battle Royale games. I poured a ton of time into PUBG over the last year and a half, and I've enjoyed myself, but to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm pretty tired of the BR genre as a whole. It's become just a little bit stale to me, and I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but I just prefer traditional FPS game modes quite a bit more. However, I can't overstate just how good Apex Legends is. This game is fantastic and does an almost endless amount of good things needed within the BR genre. And yes, I can safely say it's now my favorite BR on the scene by a huge margin. Not a small margin, a huge one. Respawn knows how to tune gunplay, movement, and overall fun with logical mechanics that just pair together in a way that's so spot on. But let's hit home on that bigger story at play here, shall we? Now, everything coming up is just rumors and conjecture and me putting pieces together that may not actually fit, so take this all with just a grain of salt, okay? Respawn Entertainment was acquired by EA for $400 million on December 1st, 2017. This is a little bit over a year after the release of Titanfall 2. As Kotaku speculated, the most likely scenario was that Titanfall 3 was in development, but something caused Respawn to pivot and turn it into Apex Legends somewhere along the road. However, there's another story that's been floating around for longer than Apex Legends rumors, and that is based around the aging source engine used in Titanfall 2. The rumors go that Titanfall 3, or whatever the next Titanfall premium title will be, was in development when the consensus from the studio, Respawn, was that the source engine wasn't up to the pedigree the developers wanted in terms of visuals for a more modern game. Thus, the search for a new engine began, and this all was occurring around the same time that supposedly the EA buyout occurred. A new engine would mean most likely the restart of all development assets, as most elements, like models and art from previous engines, doesn't always play nicely in new ones. Thus, we could have been looking at 2 to 3 years before a Titanfall 3 due to this supposed restart. My guess is that EA floated the idea of Respawn pursuing a way to use the remaining assets that they'd put time into and help give them a boost that EA so desperately needed. It isn't a giant secret that EA has suffered a string of roadblocks and public faux pas the last year and a half. FIFA 2019 failing to outsell FIFA 2018, dismally low sales for Battlefield 5, Mass Effect Andromeda falling short of expectations, the Battlefront 2 fiasco. And thus EA has had to cut its revenue outlooks twice in a row now, leading to massive single-day stock drops. Seriously, these things are shaking the ticker for this thing. So let's look at the bigger picture. EA needs a win, they have Respawn, and Respawn is potentially looking at a long time before Titanfall 3 releases due to this rumored engine change. Thus, I believe the idea for Apex Legends was born. It's likely that it's far more complicated than that, but in all honesty, I think Titanfall fans should view Apex Legends not as the replacement for Titanfall 3, because it flat out isn't, Zampella has proven that, but as a stopgap in between Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and the next premium Titanfall game. Respawn FPS fans got a bonus in Apex, which still brings forth gameplay that echoes that of Titanfall. Tight gunplay, awesome sliding mechanics, and rock-solid performance for at least most systems. And man, I don't know about you, but the idea of getting to see Titanfall 3 in like a Frostbite engine, at least if it could preserve that awesome epic movement tech from Titanfall 2, then that just sounds too good to be true. Okay, so that's a long story, but I think that's how it likely played out. It wasn't as much EA stopping Titanfall 3 production for Respawn to go work on Apex, but rather, I see the interests of both companies aligning in a way where players benefit with Apex as a nice stopgap in between, Titanfall 3 and Titanfall 2. Finally, I wanted to applaud Respawn massively for going the route that they did with launching and announcing Apex all at the same time. Respawn very publicly have stated that they knew Apex was not what the core fan base was expecting, and therefore saw a long traditional marketing campaign as a bad idea, knowing that trailers and any press would likely draw ire from the fan base. And honestly, I probably would have joined in on that negativity if they'd taken this more traditional route. That is, until I played it. That's what I love so much. Respawn announced and launched it the same day, and the game works. It was fun on day one. I encountered minimal issues across the board. I mean, what a straight up change of pace. I'm beyond sick of these drawn out buggy builds people pay to have early access for, only to be greeted with a half-finished mess. And here's Respawn literally announcing the game and going, hey, you want to judge it? Well, play it right now. That's the best possible way that they could have done it, in my opinion. And I'm beyond impressed. I wish more studios would take this approach. It reminds me of when I was a kid. Demo discs would come in the mail with official PlayStation magazine, and every month subscribers got to experience a dozen up-and-coming games. Developers put their best foot forward because they knew players' first impressions meant everything. This was in an era where gamers could go rent titles from Blockbuster, so these demos needed to wow them to a point of wanting to purchase the game outright. The gameplay had to prove itself, instead of like now, where it's a giant marketing machine, and players pay to quality assurance test poorly optimized beta builds for developers. So, Apex itself. I like it. I like it a lot. And that's coming from somebody who's ridiculously fatigued of BR games. I could go into detail about all the things that it does right in the BR space that its competitors fail at, but we'll have to save that for another video. I may not be the biggest fan of the BR genre, and yes, I think we are somewhat at the tail end of this BR craze, or at least it's beginning to unwind. But all I know is I found it to be very, very fun. This last week, I just couldn't put it down. I wanted sessions to keep going and going, and that speaks volumes to Respawn, their experience, their developers, the creative leads, and their knowledge of how to make fun FPS games. When it comes to Apex Legends, I deeply encourage you all to play the game first before offering any hot takes or critical opinions. This isn't the replacement for Titanfall 3. And as much as I wish Titanfall 3 was what released this last Monday, I'm more happy that we have Apex to play while Respawn makes Titanfall 3 the game they want it to be, with the right engine and the right development time for it to succeed. Y'all may never know, that premium Titanfall game could straight up stealth launch just like Apex did. Watch the industry, by the way. What happened with Apex is a big deal, and it might start a trend in the right direction of less marketing AAA circuses and more games releasing with gameplay prioritized up front. This will be a good year for Respawn. A very good year, I think. If you guys have played Apex Legends, I'd love to hear your opinions about it down below. And if you're Titanfall fans, longtime fans, I want to hear your perspective as well in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please thumbs it up, subscribe for more, hit the alarm bell so you know when the next video goes live, because sub boxes are really inconsistent. Follow me over on Twitter at BBKDRAGOON. I love to talk with you guys there. Have a phenomenal day, enjoy Apex this weekend, and I look forward to talking with you again very soon.